Welcome to the Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast. My name is Demetrius. This podcast is for fans of the Detroit Lions football team. All of us that go through this, we always acknowledge Godfather of the podcast, the super producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Ward. We come to you this week. It's week 3 of the 2024 NFL season. Lions out in Arizona today. Played a game, and I might be all over. I'm getting differing vibes. They went 20-13. There's a standard rule on this podcast. You never, ever apologize for a win, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable or how much it bothers you. You never apologize for a win. Kenny's already in with 3 letters, DMO. We're going to get there, bro. Trust me. But it's always good when your team wins. So you don't apologize for a win. But this is what our team is. I think I said it last week. I probably said it week 1. This is what they're going to metaphorically do to us every week. It might always be ugly. I never had a moment where I felt like the Lions were not the best team on the field today. Like the whole game, start to finish, I felt like we were the better team. But I'm going to talk about multiple times the term killer instinct. I think that we used to call it, Mike and I used to call it trophy room mentality. Like what championship teams do is when they have you down, they put their foot on your neck because it's about getting a trophy, the Lombardi. And so today that bothered me a little bit. I like to say I'm just thrilled. It's a road win. They're hard to get in the NFL, and all that stuff is true. And sometimes you can just play really, really well on one side of the ball and get a win. And the offense played well in the first half. I think the defense was dominant in a sense that after Kenny sent me a text early about mobile quarterbacks, which I knew was coming, and it sure came, first drive, they kind of started to contain Kyler. And the reality is that when you're sitting in the meeting last Wednesday and you're game planning, you simply say, we don't let him beat us with his feet. Force him to beat us by throwing the ball. And if you do that and you have one of the top 3 or 4 run defenses in the league, Kyler Murray's not going to beat you. Not with his arm, And so I think that's kind of what happened. It's a good win. It's a road win, but let's be honest, it's still ugly. There's still a lot to clean up. I'd like to get on and eat the cornbread and drink the Kool-Aid and say everything's great. We're 2-1. The effort today won't beat the teams we will need to beat. And that's coming from me, Mr. Optimism. That effort won't win in San Francisco. Maybe. San Francisco might be in trouble for injuries, but I'm not sure that effort will win in Minnesota now. Right? They might be better than we thought. I don't know that effort wins in Houston, despite the fact that they lost today. Maybe the league is closer than I think, and there's no real dominant team, and we can just grind our way to 14 wins, grind our way to 13 wins. Maybe. But I know that team is better than what we saw today. That offense is better than what we saw in the second half. They scored all 20 of their points in the first half, by the way. They scored 20 points in their first 2 games in regulation. They got 6 in overtime against the Rams. But the first 2 games, they only scored 20 points in regulation. So at halftime, sitting with 20 points, I'm thinking, okay, I might have even sent a text saying they can't stop us and shoot out. And we were talking about those terms. I think you can have both. You can be happy that they won, which I always am. I won't apologize for an ugly win and still be able to get on this podcast and point out things that need to be better, things that concern you, things that you have to be honest and say, maybe even in Dallas, although I don't think Dallas is that good. There's some road games. Buffalo's come into town. There's some games. I don't think today's effort gets you a win. And so, but I also believe that it's much more of a whatever it takes kind of thing. The national media is gonna do what they do. Oh, look at that wasn't a dominant win. I didn't feel like it was a dominant win that I was watching. So they're gonna always say Ben Johnson is a genius. I am becoming Ben Johnson is becoming to me what Aaron Glenn has been to Art. My friend Art, who last season, and Art might be listening and he might disagree, of 17 games last year, I'm going to say 15 of those games we need to, 2 years ago, it was every game. Last year, 13 games last year, we need to fire Aaron Glenn. And I got what he was saying. I don't know if he still feels that way. I'm not trying to fire Ben Johnson. That's absurd. I'm tired of hearing the word genius associated with his name because Kenny says, how do we get stagnant at times? It's play calling. In particular, first and second down play calling. And so when that happens, Jared Goff always takes the heat. And I'll give you my thoughts on Goff in a minute. But sometimes the play calling isn't fluid. It doesn't always make sense. And I'm going to say, Gibbs and Demo had almost 200 yards rushing today. 39 carries, something like that. We'll get there. So why am I'm complaining because they scored 20 in the first half and the very same offense with most of the same personnel. Laporta was kind of in and out with an injury. Couldn't score in the second half. And I think it was play calling because I will tell you, Jared Goff made one bad decision today. He didn't play a bad game. And nobody's going to go, Goff was great. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the scapegoat is usually Goff. And they're going to somehow, because of that cute little hook and lateral play that worked perfectly, Ben Johnson's going to get called a genius by somebody on your favorite sports radio show tomorrow. And that just irritates the shit out of me because he's got to be better. He's got to be better. A lot of people have to be better, but he's one. Goff can't make that mistake. I don't think eventually it didn't cost him because we stopped him on downs, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of people have to be better. And I get really sick of this. Ben Johnson is a genius. Jared Goff's a bum. I'm tired of it. I'm actually tired. I'm not even holding up a banner for Goff. I'm telling you, they didn't score in the second half. And if you just want to put that on Goff, you can. But two people I trust have already joined the podcast and asked the question or made the statement. The second half play calling, right? And it's weird because it's me. And I usually eat the cornbread, drink the Kool-Aid, come on here, make excuses, and everything's good. I don't feel great about this win. I feel comfortable saying Dan Campbell will take it, won't apologize for it. I'm not sure he feels great about this win. And I never do that whole I just think this might be our team. This might be, but when I look at Goff's play today, I always talk about quarterback play the same way. There's bad decisions, and then there's bad throws. His throw actually wasn't bad. If there wouldn't have been a defender right there, it would have been complete. He didn't see the zone blitz. He didn't react, and he's really good at pre- and post-snap reads. He didn't read the zone blitz because if he had, he would have known there was a linebacker dropping, and where he was going to go with the ball, there was going to be somebody there. I think that the defense today, so this is how I'm going to do it. This was a defense win. As much as Art probably doesn't, I'm just having fun with Art. This was a defense win today. They made big plays on fourth down, some big stops. There were penalties I didn't like, and we'll get to that. But mostly I think the key stat to me I saw today was third down efficiency for Arizona. That's a huge stat. That is last year we talked a lot, and in the last couple years, we've talked a lot about get off the field is the term they use, right? When it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 12, felt like the other team would get 9 or 14, like exactly what they needed. I didn't see that today. And I want to dig deeper into the defense. I'm not going to. I'm going to talk. Yeah, we might. Why not? What the hell? They're playing more man, right? I can tell by the corners how the corners are covering. You're going to get more PI calls, by the way, with that. But they're also getting pressure. And even today with Kyler, they were getting pressure and making him rush throws. There was a drive where he had 3 passes. All 3 of them were incomplete. I think all 3 of them were overthrows, actually, because he was getting pressure. I think Aaron Glenn's philosophy has adjusted to more of, we got to get there. We'll take some risks on the back end because he feels like most plays they're going to get there. And when they settled Kyler down, And that first drive, he used his feet quite a bit. Once they settled Kyler down, they contained him. And I just don't believe there's any evidence that Kyler Murray can beat a good defense with his arm. And I think that's what we saw today. I give this win largely to the defense. I don't know what happened, but because they won, number one, which is the point, and because the national and even local media love Ben Johnson, nobody's going to really drill and say, wait, you didn't have a good second half. And a lot of them, they'll talk about Goff, no problem. And I contend, again, Goff had one bad decision, right? I don't against the law, I guess, in Metro Detroit to say bad stuff about Ben Johnson. I don't think he had a good game. I don't think that game wins in a healthy San Francisco. I don't know if that game wins in Houston. I don't know if that effort today wins at home against Buffalo. I don't know. And I would hate for them to drop a game offensively. It doesn't feel right. Their offense is too good. They're too talented for them to go drop a game because of their offense. And I also saw some of the sloppy penalty stuff rear its ugly head again today. The dumb penalties, like the roughing the passer. I think we're going to have to live with PIs. I think they play an aggressive style. I think they're playing a lot more man. And I think they're getting more pressure. So they just believe the risk is worth the reward. That's where I am with some of the defense penalties. I think there was a unnecessary on Pascal, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even care. That doesn't bother me. He laid him out. It could have been costly. Doesn't bother me that much, though. But I think that there's some sloppiness I saw. There's some cleanup. Couple of our tight ends can't block. No, that's too bold. Yeah, I'm not sure our tight ends are good blockers. So there was some cleanup work that I think is absolutely needed. I think we have to score. We have to be more balanced. You can't play one half of football on the offensive side, to steal Kenny's point. If we don't score in the second half, we're going to drop some games. Now, our defense stepped up. And did they have a complete game? Maybe. I think there was some dumb penalties. But I think that Kyler did not have – he might have had 200 yards passing. I think that Connor didn't do anything. So I think the defense played well. But more than anything, they made the big plays when they needed to make the big plays. Right? That's what they did. And then offensively, I think that throughout the whole game, I will be honest, the running game was there, right? Which we needed. We we complained, we bitched, whatever word you want to use about Demo, right? Where was Demo? So you got Demo, right? You got both of them, actually. And so when you can run the ball 39 times for almost 200 yards, you can control the game. And if your defense is playing well, that might be enough. But we didn't finish last week. Last week, our problem was finishing in the red zone. Second half this week, we didn't finish some drives. This can't become a trend. I don't know if today's effort beats Seattle at home next week. Maybe not. But I think that we have to clean up some stuff. And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I already know Kenny and Art don't think I'm wrong. Play calling. I don't like first and second down in particular play calling. I don't like red zone play calling. I don't know. I could do the easy thing and say, how come J-Mo only touched the ball once today? That's too easy. We're going to have somebody like that every week. First week, it was St. Brown. Last week, it was Laporta. This week, J-Mo. That's just because they have talent all over and everybody can't get the ball every week. So I'm not going to do that. That doesn't even bother me that much. I think when you can run like this, it'll allow you to dictate time of possession, which they dominated today. I think it will give you an opportunity to let your defense work in really good situations. But today was a defense win. If the defense is this good all year, okay, the NFC Championship game's in Detroit. That's what I thought. Assuming the offense goes back to what we know it is, which we saw for half today. And I don't have an explanation for that. I need one. And as much as I can be unhappy with a win, I am today. I didn't like it. I think the first drive looked good. Immediately gave Demo the ball, got Laporta a catch. They were trying to set the tone. And I think I sent the guys a text that said statement drive, right, or something like that. That's what it felt like. And most of the first half felt that way. Again, if you think for those of you who just automatically default to blaming Jared Goff for everything, that's cool. You can do that. He was perfect in the first half, by the way. I think he was 12 for 12 in the first half. His game was solid. 113 rating is not your quarterback lost you the game. He made one bad decision, and if that's it, I'm cool. I can live with that. This is a much better game than last week, and I didn't really blame him for the loss last week. So I'm still trying to find out who's responsible for that stagnant second half, because I'm looking ahead. My attitude, my mindset is different. I think this is a Super Bowl caliber team. So what you're going to see me doing almost every week is analyzing and saying, is this good enough to win in Philadelphia? Is this good enough to win in San Francisco, in Green Bay? Is maybe I got to say in Minnesota now. Is the effort we saw today good enough to get you to the Super Bowl? And I think that one or two in the right games, you can get away with this. But at some point, I need to see a 60-minute game, both sides of the ball, special teams, obviously, as well. But we haven't seen that through 3 games. I think we saw a relatively, I don't want to say dominant defense. We saw a defense that made big plays when they needed to be made. We saw an offense that dominated for a half. I don't think we've seen the best Ben Johnson play calling game. I don't think we've seen the best Jared Goff quarterback game. And I don't know if it's the guys don't play preseason. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if that matters to me. Some people it does, but I don't know what it is. But there's all of a sudden this offense that's humming along in the first half didn't score in the second half. And they won the game. They're averaging 18 and a half, 20 points a game, whatever it is, 20 points in all 3 regulation games, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, 16 last week? They might have lost. They might have 16 last week. So that's not the 4th rated, although the numbers will still have them highly rated. There is a stagnant thing that's happening. There's an inconsistency that's happening. There is something that's happening that you won't win a game in January in Philadelphia playing that way, or Green Bay or San Francisco. Even if the game's in Detroit, I think you need to play better. So as much as I'm happy with the win, the cornbread's always good. I have concerns, right? I think as far as the game itself, plays of the game, I'm going to be a little hyperbolic. I think Brian Branch is a Pro Bowl caliber player right now. I feel like Brian Branch is the best player on the field whenever he's on the field. Sometimes he's the best player on the field when he's on the sidelines. Brian Branch is a football player. How this guy slipped to the second round, or it's the injury, I assume. Brian Branch is playing really good safety. I'm glad they made that move. I missed Anzalone today. And I will be honest, I owe an apology. 2 years ago, I thought this slow dude who I didn't think was a good tackler, and I was just wrong. Anzalone impacts the game. He just does. So I think we missed Anzalone. I think Brian Branch is often the best player on the field, and it is obvious sometimes. I like watching Brian Branch play. I hope he's okay. Speaking of injuries, Anzalone out, right? And then today was weird. Like Laporta, but I think he came back. I don't know if Levi got back on the field, and then Branches was clearly a concussion. Hopefully he clears protocol. Today was weird because it seems like we've been pretty healthy and lucky through 2 games, and then it was the first half. Every other play, somebody was down. I believe we have depth. I think San Francisco's dealing with that now. They lost to the Rams today, the same Rams team that got blown out by Arizona last week. The Arizona team we held really to 13 points today. The league is weird. The league is weird. The Rams team we went to overtime with got blown out by Arizona. We beat Arizona, and that Rams team beat San Francisco. It's weird. I don't think the gap is that big, which is why these lapses on offense concern me, which is why, like, with all the weapons, there should be a fluid way to get everybody in. And I'm not automatic blame Jared Goff guy. Honestly, not happy with play calling. I do also like Kirby Joseph. I think we had a really good – Kirby Joseph is just a ball hawk, by the way. I feel like he just stands back there and waits for a quarterback to make a dumb decision and makes him pay. Brian Branch makes tackles. He makes tackles in the backfield. He makes impactful tackles. I hope he's not out long, but I like this. I like the safeties very much. The last thing on the Goff bad play, I credit him often on pre and post snap reads. I think he's one of the best in the league at knowing when to check out of a play. I think he goes to the right place with the ball really well. So that was, I'm not making excuse. I am. That's an exception, not the rule. That's an anomaly. Jared Goff threw that right to a guy. He clearly didn't see that guy. He doesn't do that, right? I think that I credit him often on something he's really good at. And today was an example. That pass was an example. But the Goff part of this is not a big deal to me. His numbers were fine. His play was fine. He's not the reason that game wasn't close. The killer mentality, the killer instinct, I wish it was there more. And I'm talking about Ben Johnson. I think Art sent me a text in the game and said, we need to be more aggressive. Kenny always thinks we need to be more aggressive, and he's not wrong. Just blow somebody out, right? If they come and blow Seattle out, I'll be on this podcast next week feeling a lot better because I just want to see them stomp somebody out, just so I know we can still do it. I am uncomfortable with the inconsistent play calling. So for those of you who still think Ben Johnson's a genius and guys, they're going to tell you how great I'm just not there. You can do it. Like there was a 3rd and 12 call where they gave Gibbs a shotgun inside handoff. It worked. And they're going to call it gutsy and creative by Ben Johnson. I hated that call. I hated that call. I almost wish it didn't work. That's how much I hated that call. That was not creative. That was not genius. That was a bad call. And nobody's going to talk about how bad a call it was because it worked. But there were really a lot of, we criticize him if he doesn't give the ball to Demo and Gibbs. I get that. Kenny talked about screens today. Where's the screenplay? I could get really geeky and just break down second down play calling. And part of me wants to go back, dig into second down play calling. I don't know. I'm not even bad mouthing him. I'm saying I don't think he's a genius. I need to stop hearing that. I think sometimes when the offense is stagnant, it's not Jared Goff. And I think today was a deal where Goff played a game good enough for them to win. But quite frankly, I think they should have blown these guys out. I think this game should have been a 3-touchdown game. And I think it wasn't a 3-touchdown game because Ben Johnson called an above-average game. He called the game good enough to win. And that might be his job, and maybe I should shut up, right? He called a game that was good enough for us to win. But that game won't be good enough to win in San Francisco, in Houston, home to Buffalo, in Green Bay. Those are games you got to win. In Philadelphia in January, maybe. Those are the games where that's where I am now. This team is good enough, and I am evaluating them at a level where I see you're playing Arizona. I'm looking at every game like, is that going to get it done in Philadelphia? Will that get it done in Green Bay? Will that get it done in San Francisco? And I haven't seen a game that would. I saw half. I saw a first half today that might get it done in Philadelphia or San Francisco. And I'm comfortable saying part of the problem is the genius offensive coordinator. And some people would think I'm crazy. I don't care. I just don't think he's had a good 60 minutes yet. I think he had 30 good minutes today. He needed to be better in the second half. And some of that, multiple series today bogged down and failed, did not finish with points because of play calling. Now, there were some plays, maybe you can blame it on players. You might even find one or two to blame on Goff. My feeling is multiple series today failed because of play calling. And I don't think I can call plays. I don't want to. But thankfully, the defense just kept bailing us out. The defense bailed us out multiple times. This was actually a pretty complete defensive game. There were some dumb moments, right? But all in all, when you look at what they did stats-wise, they only had 15 plays in the first half. Think about that, right? That first drive, they were good. Take out the first drive. Take out the first. The Lions defense dominated the game when you take out the first drive. And I contend, like I said earlier, I've never worried about Kyler Murray beating me with his arm. And I think today was another example of that. If you can't complement what Kyler Murray can do with a running game, like their version of Demo, it's supposed to be James Conner. If they can't do that, Kyler Murray's not going to beat you. And I think that's what we saw today. We saw a team that could never really get their running game going. So why would we worry about play action? We just needed to stay disciplined in the lanes to contain Murray. And I think they did a good job of that. I think that's about discipline. But this is a more aggressive scheme. So I think the reason Art hasn't called for AG's job yet, and I'm sorry, Art is still me, call for his job yet this year, is they're being more aggressive. We see them getting pressure, even when they don't get there. We see this style that is not just guys wide open. Guys weren't wide open today. Now, they were being groped. They were being assaulted in some cases, but they're not running wide open in these zones. I need to look at the numbers. I would say to you, I imagine we play a lot more man than we have in the 3 years, this being year 4. So some of this is scheme. I think a more aggressive defensive scheme was called for. I think they somehow have maintained their ability to stop teams from running, get pressure on the quarterback, and at the same time cover. Well, except our rookie. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about him either. I think it's discipline. I think it's an aggressive scheme that requires discipline and experience. And I think the rookie will get better. I think all in all, the defense dominated today. And this is a defense win, right? Kyler Murray didn't. He could have, right? So I still have concerns, right? I'm a little worried about the injury. Brian Branch, to me, was the best player. Oh, Hutchinson. I got to give Hutch credit. Sorry. But Brian Branch feels like the best player on the field a lot of times. Hutch is always one of the best. So hopefully Branch's situation isn't too bad, and he'll be back. Because I think the Seattle game now becomes big for 20 reasons. A, it's Monday night. Everybody's watching. B, it's at home. Crowd's going to be crazy because crowd's always crazy. We owe you. We owe you, Seattle. We got receipts. You got one coming. And I think we need a complete 60-minute game where we dominate somebody. So all the ingredients are there. Monday night, home game against a good team, and we haven't even put together a complete game yet. So I'm hoping that we get that next week. And for those of you who stick around till midnight to listen to me talk about it next Monday night, I hope we're just talking about – it's an easy podcast, and I'm just talking about the most complete Lions game since Denver last year. And they get a big win. Now, all that being said, that's not really who our team is. So I fully expect a grind it out, got to stop them in the last 3 minutes kind of win, and I'll take that too, because a win's a win, and you don't apologize for wins. Let's take some questions. What do we have? Okay, well, that's obvious, and I think I've talked. Why do the Lions have so much trouble with mobile quarterbacks? I've talked about this a little bit. I would say ask Kenny. I wish I could bring him into the podcast right now and just let him talk about mobile quarterbacks. So I think that's not a Lions only problem. I think elusive quarterbacks, and I use the word elusive on purpose because I think there's running quarterbacks, and then I think there's quarterbacks that are really good at using their feet to extend plays and cause you problems. They slide in the pocket, they scramble, they do stuff like that. Kyler I put in the running category. Lamar is a running quarterback. There are other guys who are – Mahomes actually isn't a running quarterback. He, quite frankly, has the best arm in the league. But he does have good footwork. Dak has better footwork than I like to give him credit for. That old bastard in New York has footwork still now. And, yeah, we're not saying that name. So everybody knows how I feel about that guy. And there's other guys I'm probably missing. Somebody. Who cares? But most teams struggle against truly mobile quarterbacks, the Lamars and Kyler type mobile quarterbacks. Jordan Love might end up being one of those guys. I don't know. It takes a significant amount of discipline. And when you have an aggressive team playing an aggressive scheme, like the Lions are now, a guy like Hutch, who he got outside of Hutch very early in the game today because Hutch lost contain. He's got a lane, he's got an alley, he's got a job. And when you're aggressive and you're trying to get there, you can do that. I think that Kenny contends our linebackers are slow. Derek Barnes, I forgot to mention on the injury. I don't know how bad that was. Derek Barnes isn't slow. Jack Campbell's faster than we think. I certainly wouldn't call him slow. But your point's not off. I think we have never really had speedy, fast linebackers. I think it has historically been a zone scheme that ends up with big open spots. I think it has been the discipline of maintaining rush lanes, everybody on that line. And I'm using hand gestures because everybody's got it's not just this is my spot. There's this invisible line that goes end zone to end zone. That's your lane. And if you just do your job, maintain gap integrity is what Lomas Brown would say. You can do that better. Today, I think after the first drive, they did a pretty good job. Kyler Murray did not beat us horribly. A couple of their drives were extended on penalties. They only scored 13 points. I don't have a problem with it today. I don't think mobile quarterback play beat us. But if you're going to have a mobile quarterback, that's all well and good. If he can't throw, right? If he can't complete passes to beat you, his mobility becomes kind of irrelevant. Like Kyler hurt us there because he couldn't complete passes. And Connor couldn't run. So there was no threat of, and I don't believe in the spy idea. I think if everybody does their job, you can beat a team with a mobile quarterback. He can maybe gut you. And Justin Fields gutted us last year, and we came back and stole the win anyway. So I think that Arizona never established a run today. And while Kyler Murray early gave us problems and will continue to give people problems, my two answers to your question are, one, it's not exclusively a Lions issue. Truly mobile quarterbacks cause problems for everybody because you don't prepare for it that many times in a season. And it's hard to prepare for it. And two, if that team can't run the ball, you will eventually be able to maintain. And I think they did that today. There was no threat of Connor or anybody else out of the backfield, and the Lions were able to contain Kyler Murray or Kyler Murray's impact. And if he can't throw the ball, who cares? All right. Why are the Lions corners so handsy? We kind of touched on this. The scheme is more aggressive, which requires that. Terry and Arnold's a rookie. He's not getting any favors from the refs, and he's got to learn some stuff. He's got to get his head around. I'll say it for you, Kenny. You don't need to type it. Terry and Arnold has to learn to get his head around. You're going to get PI whenever your head's not around. You could be playing perfect coverage, have incidental contact, but if you're not looking for the ball, you're getting a flag. And you're a rookie and you don't have a reputation yet, you're getting a flag. And I think the scheme is more aggressive. They play a lot more man. I think they brought Davis in because he's a big physical corner. I think that Arnold will eventually be a good, big physical corner. Those guys are going to play man, and they're going to be all up on guys, and they're going to be handsy. I'm cool with that. I'll live with 2 PIs a game if you force Kyler Murray to throw up something that Kirby Joseph will eventually grab anyway. But those don't bother me. If they don't cost you a game late, the upside, the overall upside to the Aaron Glenn scheme we've seen through 3 games is pressure on the quarterback, sacks. They still can't run the ball against the Lions. And I think what you're doing is you will force quarterbacks to beat you. And as you go down the list, Baker didn't really beat us. I think we beat ourselves. I think the Lions beat themselves. Stafford almost beat you, but that's number 9. He can single-handedly beat you. I think he did it to the Niners today. So what you do is you put more pressure on the quarterback to make better decisions. And Kyler threw one up, and they got a PI call because he just threw it up. That's going to happen. I got to be honest. I think we're going to get 2 to 3 PI calls every game. And I'm not even mad. Doesn't even bother me. I'm not – the ones today, Terry and Arnold's got to get his head around. I think Carlton Davis played 3 good football games. I think he missed a tackle the first week or maybe last week. But that's not a big deal. I love both safeties. I like what Carlton Davis is giving us. When Terry Arnold learns how to get his head around, he's going to be a really good corner. And our secondary is not going to be a problem for a couple of reasons. We get pressure on the quarterback, and that makes their lives easier. But they're going to play an aggressive, tight man cover scheme, and it's going to result in some handsy PI calls. So get comfortable with it because it's not going to stop. You're gonna get 2 or 3 a game, probably 2 or 3 a game. All right, one more. Do we give enough credit to the Lions defense? Well, I've been giving the Lions defense credit for 35 minutes. Where you been? What are you listening to? The question is, do we? Okay, I mean, all right. I've been doing it for 35 minutes. Maybe you joined late. I don't know. No, we don't give them enough credit, probably because they were so poorly ranked last year, and we need them to prove it. Have they proven it through 3 games? Close. They gave up 20 to the Rams, but made big plays. Gave up 20 to Tampa. Probably enough to win that game if the offense shows up. And you only gave up 13 today. One of those field goals might have been on a short field, by the way. I have no problem with the defense. I mean, my friend Art has forbidden me to ever say anything good about Aaron Glenn, so I got to be careful. I don't want to lose my friend of 30 years by saying positive stuff about AG. But your point's a good one. I think I still need to see it against some better teams. It'll be nice against Seattle. Go to Green Bay and shut them down. Turn them over 3 times. Go to Minnesota. Go to San Francisco. Go to Dallas. There will be opportunities for this defense to win us over. Those of us who aren't won over. I have said for 37 minutes now, the defense won the game today. I have talked about the defense being better. I'm not struggling with the defense now. All my venom won. For the record, anybody joining, the Lions won the game, but I didn't love it. My venom has been directed almost at one person, and that's the genius offensive coordinator. I don't have a lot of problems with the defense today. I think Pascal's penalty was dumb. I think the PI calls don't bother me. I think there might have been a hands to the face against Davenport or Onwuzurike that was a little costly, but I would prefer this aggressive defense that's playing some man, that's getting pressure on the quarterback, that tackles. I think I saw 1 missed tackle today. I think it was 1 in the first game. They tackle. As other than pre-snap penalties, like lining up in the neutral zone or illegal formation, which I just think is just dumb, really dumb, and I hate those. Penalties, unnecessary, unforced errors, they drive me bananas. Aggressive penalties don't bother me. PI doesn't bother me. That late hit on Pascal didn't bother me. I didn't think it was that late. I didn't think it was a bad hit. Honestly, I didn't. I think we got away with a play I haven't even talked about. One angle showed 2:01 on the clock when the ball was snapped. Then they came out of a commercial break and it said 2 minutes and the ball hadn't been snapped. I'm not going to ignore that, and somebody's going to write me and say, you didn't even talk about that lucky play. I don't know if that's luck, but you're talking to a Lions fan who saw them pick up a flag in Dallas, who watched KJ Wright bat a ball out of the end zone against Seattle, who saw that bullshit last year on New Year's Eve in Dallas. I don't want to hear that. The refs messed up and helped us. I don't care. Good. You owe us 10 more. As far as I'm concerned, some of that stuff happens, but those kinds of aggressive penalties don't bother me. So I'm not gonna get on here and bitch about Terry Arnold and PI calls. I think that's a matter of a rookie. I think they will coach him up, get your head around. I think he's going to end up being a really good corner. I like everything I've seen from Carlton Davis. I think I saw him miss 1 tackle against the Rams. Maybe it was last week. That's it. In 3 games, I don't have anything bad to say about Carlton Davis. And I've already said Kirby Joseph is a ball hawk, which I love, and Brian Branch might be the best player on the field, not named Aiden Hutchinson. I'm not unhappy. So I've lauded the defense all day today, that's for sure. And in general, I don't think I've gone. I continue to make my Art AG jokes because I just think it's funny. That's just me amusing myself, and it's my podcast, so I can do it. That mistake at 2 minutes was the refs. The Lions didn't do anything wrong. Goff was, Yeah, it would have been a pick six. But who knows how the rest of the game would have gone, right? Just like if they don't make that penalty, that mistake last week with the field goal, and they're in Tampa down 2 instead of down 5 or 6, that's a different game. And the Lions didn't. The refs made a mistake. Maybe they didn't. I got to see more angles because I saw 2 angles. One of them showed 2:01. One of them showed 2 minutes, and the ball hadn't been snapped. But mostly, I don't care. Your question is about the defense. This is a good feeling today. I will say to you, what I would like to say to you is, I know what our offense is. I know who St. Brown is. I know who Jared Goff is. Gibbs, Demo, Laporta, Jamo, the top 3, top 5 offensive line. I know what the offense is. So if we get this kind of defensive performance 14 more times, we're going to win 13 or 14 games because the defense is stingy at times, makes big plays. The whole get off the field. I would get on this podcast last year and talk about third down plays. Get off the field. This team gets off the field. They make plays on 3rd and 4th down. That Carlton Davis play was all effort. Kyler had to slide to avoid him, and because he slid, even extending the ball, he didn't get there. That was effort by Carlton Davis. We won't acknowledge it. Like both of the first 2 games, St. Brown made great plays that very few people talked about. Both of them would have been interceptions, passes to him that he broke them up. Those are the little things that this Lion team does that win you games. And guess what? If they're 3-1 a week from tomorrow, going into the bye, I don't give a damn how they won this game. I'm going to get over it. All I want, you know what? Here's the truth. If they lose a 44-41 shootout next week and Goff throws 4 touchdowns, well, no, I'm still not going to be happy because then the defense would have lied to me. So never mind. I'm not even going to try that. I just want a complete offensive game. I want to see what I know that now that assumes Laporta's okay, right? I want to see that complete offensive game. I love that we rushed for almost 200 yards. I think you still could have gotten Jamo the ball 3 more times. I don't know why you didn't. You went deep once and Goff overthrew him. I think it was an overthrow. Yeah. And despite the fact that Demo got 20 carries, Kenny wants Demo to get the ball more. He might not be wrong, by the way. I think the game, the time, the down and distance, where you're playing, all those things dictate it. But you know whose job that is, Kenny, by the way? It's Ben Johnson's damn job. So I'm telling you, me right now, they're 2-1. I'm fine. I said they were going to go 13-4. I have not changed that. There's some tough games on the schedule, but I think they're one of the 3 best teams in football. I'm not ready to buy Minnesota yet, and we get to play them twice. So I'll see who Minnesota is when we get there. I'm not ready to buy that this is the offense. If we got this defense with the offense, we know it. There's 13 wins on this schedule, right? I'm not worried about Dallas. I'm certainly not worried about Chicago. And they might lose one of these games. I think they can go into Minnesota and win. I think they can go into Lambeau and win. If San Francisco doesn't get healthy, they got no Debo. They got no McCaffrey. They're missing people. But now we don't play them the 17, so they'll probably be healthy. But that game might not matter. To me, it is. Tampa bothered me because that's a game. That's going to be a game about seeding, in my opinion. If this is our defense, the offense, I think, will come around. They're too talented. They're too good. And if you guys are right and Ben Johnson is a genius, the offense will figure it out. But your question was about the defense, and I would say if this is the defense, this opportunistic, ball hawking, make plays on 3rd down, in case you missed it, Arizona was 1 of 9, and you will say, oh, Arizona's Arizona. Arizona hung, 40 or 38 on the Rams last week. I don't know what they are. I know what happened today, which is they had a good first drive, and then after that, the Lions defense contained Kyler Murray and made every big play. I think their conversions were almost all penalties, maybe every now and then a Harrison big catch. But when they needed to make a play, when the Lions needed a play, the defense made the play. If this is the Lions defense, and I don't know where they rank, I'm going to mention it next week. I'll try and remember where they rank. I'm saying they're top 10 for sure. They might be top 7. If this is the defense all year, this team can win 13 games, and the NFC Championship game is in Detroit. And that's been the goal. For this podcast, there's one goal. I want the NFC Championship game played in Detroit. Because if you play it in Detroit last January, we would have been talking Super Bowl, right? That's what it's about. I don't think all of a sudden this team's offense just sucks. I think there's some stuff to clean up, some stuff to figure out. I think next Monday night is a perfect opportunity. Go in there, play a complete offensive game, play this level of defense, hang 37, 38, hang 35 on Seattle. And it's prime time. It's Monday night. Everybody's watching, all that stuff. But I need 60 minutes of offensive football. I want to say I don't even care if you win or not, but that's a lie. It's a blatant lie. I contend if this is our defense and you play 60 minutes of offensive football, I don't have to worry about the win. I don't know how good Seattle is. I think they're okay. I think they might be good, but that game's at home. Whatever you did this week to motivate them, but clean up. And I'm just going to be honest. I need to see this genius OC everybody loves so much. I don't think I saw him in the second half today. I don't know. You guys can let me know. All right, that's all I got. I think it's a win is a win. Never apologize. I'll take it. I need more. I need more from the offensive coordinator. Kenny wants more demo. I think Art's buying AG. He won't admit it, but I think he is. I think he's in. And at the end of the day, I still eat the cornbread. I still drink the Kool-Aid. I still think there's 13 wins on this schedule. And there's 11 more wins on this schedule, and there could be more. If this defense is real and the offense is not, now I don't want the defense to regress. I just want the offense to do what we've seen them do. And so Art gives us so far so good. That's the best AG's getting from Art. So if the offense reverts back to what we know they can be, and this defense stays the way it is, there's 13 wins on this schedule, and I don't have a problem saying that. And we'll be talking about an NFC Championship game played in downtown Detroit, and that's the goal. So that's all I got. Appreciate you joining me. If you like it, there's hearts, there's thumbs ups, there's ways for you to let me know. A win is a win. That should have been a title. I show up Monday night at midnight because I gotta stay up, and I'm gonna do the podcast. So hopefully you guys will stay up with me. Right after we go off the air, I'm jumping on. There'll be no notes. There'll be no delay. I'm going on just whatever we feel. And if it's thank you, Art. By the way, your boy's a massive baseball fan, and the Detroit Tigers are doing their thing. It is. Cuz, good to see you, Chuck. Tigers are doing their thing, and baseball and football being exciting at the same time. It's crazy. This is going to be a fun week in Detroit sports in general, because I have probably watched the last 15, 16 Tiger games, first pitch to last. And they're playing like the Lions. They're going in the extras. They're winning in the ninth. They've taken on this weird Dan Campbell-like mentality where it's fun to watch, and it's all young kids. You know, it makes you excited for the future, but they're just plain fun to watch. They find ways to win. Their manager is the opposite of Ben Johnson. He is finding creative ways to win baseball games with the bullpen, with different starters. They probably have a Cy Young winner on the mound. And here's the thing about baseball, and I'm way over my general time limit, but Art dropped the baseball thing, and then I got to do a few minutes on the Tigers. This ain't supposed to be happening. This is a team that was 10 games out in July. This is a team that traded arguably their second best pitcher and a couple of other guys at the trade deadline in what everybody thought was give up, wait for next year. And then they called up. I use the term kids because I'm 55 years old, and they're kids to me. They're younger than my son. They're calling up these guys, these names we hear about. And these kids just came up and they're balling. And it's not like they're just doing whatever it takes to win. It's weird. It's an eerie sort of Dan Campbell-like philosophy happening at Comerica. And they've got 6 more games. I think they have the final playoff spot as we sit right now. so they control their own destiny. Just come home and win 5 out of 6. I'm almost certain you got it. You can probably win 4 out of 6. And guess what? The last 3 are against the worst team, literally, in the history of baseball. Now, that's a jinxy thing to do, to say they should get those 3. The 3 with the White Sox should be gimmies. That's a dumb thing to say. It was like the guy who called me at halftime of the 49ers game and said, should we book our tickets for Vegas? And I hung up on him, and I didn't speak to him for a month because I blame him for that loss. So I'm not going to do that. The way they play is exciting. If you like baseball at all, and I assume if you're listening to this, you're probably a sports fan. You're probably a Detroit sports fan. I'm with Art. Go Tigers. It's fun to watch them play. They're never out of it. They never quit. It is a Dan Campbell team playing baseball. So this will be a fun week for that. The Lions are coming off a win, so everybody's going to feel pretty good. And we got Monday night next week. So give the Tigers the next 7 days and roll back in for Monday. I should do a midweek Tiger podcast. I don't have to just do the Lions. If this gets fun, I might do a Saturday podcast about the Tigers. We'll see. Keep your eye out for that. If they go to the playoffs, I'm almost certainly going to drop some stuff. So keep your eyes open for some Tiger talk, because they're forcing me to do it with the way they're playing. Ben Johnson, go, I need more from you next week. And I still think we got 13 wins on the schedule. So I think everything's good in Lions world. It would have been a perfect weekend, but for my green and white, that's okay. But it's fun time to be a Detroit sports fan. That's the bottom line. So go Tigers, go Lions. Appreciate you joining me. Like I said, like it, click it, thumbs up. All that stuff is good. It all helps me, keeps us going. And I will see everybody's going to stay up to midnight next Monday night. I already know it. Y'all don't got to tell me, but let me see by show of thumbs up who's rocking with me next Monday night at midnight. Well, it probably depends on the game. I think Kenny will rock with me all the time. It'll be late, but I think y'all should rock with me next Monday night. So I appreciate it. Always acknowledge my super producer, the Godfather, Mike Ward. Everybody have a good week. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next Monday night.